Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, we've got a beautiful lady. She's from Ireland. She's got the most amazing accent. I love Irish accents. Caroline. She's been in the program about 7 months now. And the reason that I wanted to get her on is because she has a really awesome story. And I think that a lot of women could really benefit from her story and what she's learned and what she's overcome. So she, like many other women in our program, has done a lot of crazy diets and she had her thyroid removed. So when did you have your thyroid removed?
Back in 2010.
2010, cool. So she's had her thyroid removed, suffered like many of us with really, I think, body dysmorphia and body image issues. She's also had liposuction. So she got to the point where she was so unhappy with her stomach that she ended up getting liposuction. And even through all of that, she realized that even afterwards, she still wasn't happy because she wasn't healthy and she wasn't feeling good. And then, she was working with a lady who was in our program who actually trained at our gym, who was always banging on about the sugar and we're doing this, making this new gel. And, now she's come out the other side and she's eating more and she's happier and she's healthier. And I think, I think your story is quite inspiring, and for a lot of the women out there who have either had their thyroid removed, had thinking about getting liposuction or some sort of that type of surgery, that it really isn't going to make you happy, and that you have to focus on your health and eating more and stopping doing all the cardio. So and she's 34, by the way. She has no kids. She has a partner. How long have you been in Australia?
Nearly 13 years now.
13 years. Your accent's still pretty strong, hey? It's good.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I get mixed reviews on that, whether it's strong or not. But when I ring home, they think I sound Australian.
Yeah, well, I can actually understand you, so it's probably, like Irish people, I was like, I just can't understand. Can you slow down? I can't understand.
Which is why I have slowed down, because when I started working in an office, when I came here, nobody could understand me. So I was on the phone, so I learned really quickly I need to slow down.
Oh. So good. I love accents. You got a great accent. So let's go back to when did it all start for you, all this crazy dieting?
So from before I came to Australia. So I was never very happy with my body. Teenage in school, I always had such a big ass that I used to brush.
I love big asses.
Now I do. Back then I was like paranoid and I hated it. Now I want it back again. Yeah. I would like to have kept that. But yeah, so I've never been like overly happy with myself. And just very, very slowly, never exercise, but just start trying, so started off on the calorie counting diets, and which we had in our local town in Wexford. And then as I started to move to the city in Dublin, I started to come across more diets, like all the shake diets. So sometimes you would have 2 shakes a day in a meal. When I moved to Australia, I got so bad that I actually done one of the shake diets, which is for very obese people. So it's quite an extreme shake diet. And I done that for, instead of doing the 2 meals, I actually done 3 meals a day without food. Instead of food. And I done that for quite some time. And then I got as you would expect, I got very, very ill. Yes, I lost weight, but I was very sick. And then I started to hear my heart palpitating really, really badly. And I went to the doctors to see what was going on. And he found quite a large lump right across my neck. And he sent me off to the hospital, and it turned out that I had Graves' disease. And my thyroid was through the roof overactive. Which we thought at the time we were going to be able to control it all with medication. So we done that for a couple of weeks, and I collapsed one day, woke up in hospital. My heart rate was too high. They couldn't get it down. My thyroid levels were too high. I went on some iodine treatment in the hospital. They just couldn't do it. And the surgeon came in and said, we're going to remove your thyroid. Me knowing absolutely nothing about thyroid, what it done, what it controlled, was like, okay, if it's going to solve my issues, let's do it.
And did they ever ask you once about your diet or training history, anything?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No. So because of not knowing anything, and the doctor's telling me, well, this will fix the problem. I just didn't even like take out my phone and Google it or anything. I just went with what they were telling me. I trusted them. I was so sick at the time that I just wanted it all sorted. And still at this time, I had no idea what my diets could have caused this, like all those issues I caused by not eating food and not eating right could have caused this. It's still, none of that had connected in my head. I just thought this was some unfortunate thing that was happening to me. And like knowing what I've learned now in this program, I would never have let them take it out. If that happened to me today, absolutely not would I let them take it out. But back then I didn't know any different. And that was really the start of my problems. So when I left hospital, no thyroid, and then to try get that under control, I was on medication every day, which I still am. I will be for the rest of my life. I had all these peaks and troughs. So I was overactive, underactive, overactive, underactive, and I was gaining weight like never before. So I went up to 74 kilos, which is the heaviest I've ever been.
And you're pretty small. You're short too.
And I'm short. Yeah, I'm only 5'3", and I went up to 74 kilos, and it was all fat. There was no muscle. I didn't train. There was no muscle in that. It was all fat. And I was so unhappy. And then I finally started exercising. So still doing all the crazy diets, still, starving myself and then binge eating, starving myself and binge eating. But then I found cardio and I started doing that. And I used to do the train to the point where nearly every session ended up in me feeling dizzy or vomiting, lying on the ground with my feet in the air, because I used to train that hard. Because I felt like it was the only thing in my control was to do this training. This is going to fix things. And I did lose weight. I went back down to like mid 60s. And then I sort of plateaued again. So I was still doing all this training. I was still eating badly in the sense that I would really restrict my food Monday to Friday. And then I would I was still living the backpackers lifestyle at this stage. So we were just drinking all weekend and eating absolutely. And then when I plateaued, I still was like very unhappy with my body. I just had kind of got to a stage where I don't think like the destructive journeys were ever going to end. It was just really, really, everything I was doing was destructive, but I couldn't see it at the time.
Yeah.
And then I just went on doing that for years. Like, I'm talking 6 years where I would just train really hard, eat really bad, get nowhere, lose a bit of weight, feel really good, gain a bit of weight, feel really shit. And that was just kind of where I was at. And then I got into like boxing and doing some MMA. I say it like that because I wasn't very good at it, but I got into that kind of sports. And I really enjoyed it, but what I didn't realize is that I was still exercising 6-7 days a week, not really, but I was getting toned, but not really getting anywhere I wanted. So then I was like, okay, what next? And then I found something that's called SARMs, which is actually illegal now, but a couple of years ago it wasn't. And that was terrible. That was the worst thing I could have done. And I didn't care. I knew this was bad stuff, but I just wanted to be
skinny. Yeah.
I just wanted it. And I knew this was absolute poison I was putting in my body. So a friend of mine done it with me and actually ended up in hospital. And I still didn't. I kept doing it because it was working for me.
Did it make you feel terrible when you took? I remember I went through a stage where I took Duramine, and like I took a lot of drugs when I was younger too. And I just remember thinking, it felt like I was taking speed, and I just felt horrendous. Like I just wanted to kill people.
No, only when I started taking. So you take it in 12-week blocks. So you take it in 12 weeks, give a break, take it in 12 weeks, and for probably the first 3 weeks, you just feel very weird. I can say like that speedy effect, but just a little, maybe you had a bit too much caffeine sort of effect. But never to the point where I thought, oh, this is making me feel very ill or it's affecting my work or anything like that. So I was taking, and I could taste it like what I imagine poison tastes like. It was really disgusting. You would like take a drop, drink juice, take a drop. And within 12 weeks, I went down to 54 kilos. Like that was a massive drop.
I bet you were happy but still felt unhappy. Yeah.
Like amazing. But then I had that break, and in that break I started gaining, even with restrictive eating, I started gaining weight again because I was on it. And then as soon as I got to, like, you were allowed to take a break for, or you had to take a break for, I don't know if it was 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I can't remember now exactly, but, and then you're allowed to start again. The second cycle didn't work as well. I was slowly going back up into weight, and then the second cycle didn't work. So then I was like, you know, going crazy with the exercising, to taking the food out again. So I was on these SARMs, exercising like crazy, not eating right, and then all the side effects started to take over. My skin broke out like crazy. My periods just completely stopped. So they hadn't been very consistent anyway for a long time because of all the dieting, but they just were completely gone. There was nothing. And my thorns. So I was 10, but I was so unhealthy and I was so unhappy. And again, here I hit another wall. So then I'm like, okay, what's next? So just I skipped a tiny bit of the story where in between these, when I started SARMs and all this crazy cardio, I started working with a girl who has worked with Keating and has had amazing results. Like, this girl is absolute gold. She is just, not only her personality is beautiful and positive, but her body and her ass is just stunning.
She has the greatest ass, doesn't she?
And she, like, unbelievable. So like, I'm looking at this girl and she's coming in and telling me about all this dairy she's having, and that she's trying to eat liver, that she eats sugar with every meal. She's telling me that she eats carbs, and that she puts butter with the carbs, like potatoes and butter. Are you serious? And at the time I wasn't in the headspace to take it all on, because I was too busy on this, like, destructive, I'm going to take this poison and everything will be okay. But there was little things that I took on board. So she introduced me to NuGel, so I started having that with my meals, and even just those little changes helped. I started having watermelons, so I started having sugar with a meal, which was such a treat for me. I felt guilty when I ate fruit because of the high sugar. And then I kind of flipped. So I went, okay, well, if she can have all this dairy, carbs, fats, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to look like her. And I went all in for a couple of weeks, and my body was just like,
wouldn't have liked it. Just too much change too quickly.
Too much dairy. Like, I was having the chocolate milks before bed, and just too much dairy, too much too quick. And then because I gained a little bit of weight at that time, and the dairy was making me feel so sick, I got scared and I went away, and I'm like, oh no, Win at Life is not for me. Or it was NuStrength back then. I'm like, okay, that's not for me. So then I'm starting to look for, okay, what's next? And then I was like, oh, I know, a really expensive painful surgery. That will solve everything.
How much was the liposuction?
So I had 3 areas done. So I had my small waist, I had my stomach, my tummy, and I had my love handles done. And I paid $10,000 for 3 areas.
Yeah, wow. And I think it's so interesting is that, like, women, you just, because you back in that, when you're in that headspace and you just don't know, and you're restricting so much, and you just think you can't get rid of that belly fat, but your body's just so stressed.
I just felt I had tried everything. I felt I put my all into everything. There was nothing left that I could do, and the only way to do it was to get somebody to go in and remove it for me. And the amount of money that I had invested in diets and SARMs, those SARMs that I used to take were so expensive. They were hundreds of dollars.
How much money do you reckon you've invested in programs before this, like quick fix programs?
Probably, like, I would say like thousands and thousands. Like, I said, if I had to put all that money in a pot, I would have paid for my liposuction.
Yeah, you know? Isn't it crazy? You know, I think, you know, like, a lot of women will go, oh yeah, but you know, because our programs are coaching programs, so it's not like a cheap app that you buy and, you know, you're in it. Oh, but you know, I don't know if I want to invest in that program. But it's like, you could pay for our program 5 times over 5 years with the amount of money that you've spent doing all the quick fixes. And I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
I said the same thing about your programs.
Yeah.
Previously, I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend that much. You know, that's too much money. And again, you just have to be in that headspace where you're like, I need this. This is right for me. I know this works, and I'm willing to make the investment. But all the other times, because joining WOW it's not like, okay, that's going to solve everything. When you join WOW, you work very hard.
Yeah.
You know, meal prep and you train, and you know, you are involved in a community. Whereas in my head, I was like, well, if I get liposuction, then that's it, right?
Yeah, that's easy. It's easy. Yeah,
easy, right?
Yeah.
So that was my mentality back then. It was like, what is the easiest thing to do? Yes, I had really started to believe in everything that I was seeing while on social media and on the newsletters you send out. But yeah, I still wasn't in that mind to commit. I was like, well, liposuction sounds easier because it suck it out of me, and then I'm going to be so skinny and happy. And that's actually not the case at all.
Do you think too, like, I feel, because I was similar to you, I didn't ever have any like liposuction, but just with the whole, I don't even know how to articulate it, but I think when you do this program, like when I started this, it was a journey of like digging deeper into myself and really addressing some like deeper issues as well, because that was hard. And a lot of it was linked back to then to the food and my body image. And once I sort of address it, because it makes you face your fears.
Yes.
You think? Like it makes you face your fears.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And some more times than not, when I've got to that stage, I needed to I'm like, oh, it's too hard. It could be work, and then I'm like, well, that's hard. Don't want to do with that.
Oh, sorry, you just cut out then. I think our internet connection is slightly unstable. It does this sometimes. It's slightly annoying, but I just sort of missed that. Repeat that last bit that you said.
I was just saying that that's what's all this my past has been, is getting to a point where I'm about to like face a fear or do something, and I'm like, oh, that's too hard. Oh, that's scary. And then I've backed away. You know, whereas this is the first I've followed through with it, and it's because there's a community there supporting me. There's somebody checking in with me every week. You know, there's a whole, like the whole Slack channels where I can just go on and shoot in something. I didn't have that before. I had a program that I signed up to, and I got, you know, a program sent to me. And it was hard, so I stopped. Whereas now I'm in a group where I can see it's hard for everyone, and everyone, you know, they keep getting through it. And
oh, totally. And I think you're right. And it always is harder at the start. You know, like when you actually start something, it is really hard and it's difficult. And, you know, like, but where you are now, do you feel like it's so much easier now than when you first started?
So much easier. Like just even meal prep. For me to say to people that I make my own ice cream, they cannot believe it, because I hate the kitchen. And now I'm making ice cream, making brownie, doing meal prep, slow cook meals. All these things that were just too hard for me now are not hard anymore. It's actually easy. And putting in that effort for like 2 hours saves me hours during the week. And even just me figuring out a meal, you know, I've got all my ingredients and I need to weigh them all, and then I need to figure out what's going to be per meal. All that, I don't even need to think about any of that anymore. So that's stuff that used to be like, oh, how am I going to figure this out? It's just really easy to me now. I just do my meal preps are not even something I need to really think about anymore. I know what I like to eat now. I know what I want to. And if I don't meal prep on a Sunday, straight away I'm like, oh, you know, I'm missing the benefits straight away. Like I go to the fridge at lunchtime when my meal prep's not there. So, you know, it's just that one day puts me back on track, because I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, and there's times that I've kind of deviated from the track. Mel has a couple of times kicked my ass back onto the track when I started to. And it's never because it's too hard. It's because I get too comfortable. Oh, I know that, or that looks about the right weight, or, you know, I stopped tracking is a little bit of an issue for me, because I feel I eat kind of the same stuff every day. And then when I start tracking, I find out, oh, I've gone over a little bit. And that's why I've been feeling just a little off. Making connections that I never were able to make before. So before, if I was feeling a bit fatty, I would panic, like, oh my God, I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to go on that spiral again. Now I just open my meal planner and I can see I'm either not tracking right, or I'm not, going over in some areas or under in some areas. I now know how to look for what's wrong and fix it, which I never knew before.
Yeah, and that is so true. It's really empowering, I think, because you've got the power back. And how did you? Because I think when a lot of women start this journey, they're going to eat more food and you go in and you're like, I'm going to fix my metabolism and focus on the long game. Like, how did you overcome your old mindset? Because I bet that was at the start still pulling you back, going, sometimes eat less. You shouldn't eat sugar,
Yeah. So the eating was definitely hard for me. So like after I had the liposuction, I definitely had that period of time, probably call it the honeymoon period, where I was still thinking that I'm going to be able to kind of eat what I want. And I still wanted to train because I actually like training to an extent. I'm not one of those, unfortunately, I'm trying to be in the wild, somebody who like really pushes himself, but I'm not quite there yet. But I like training. So I always wanted to keep training. To me, with all those things that would pull me back when I started the program, because I sat in Switzerland. So after the surgery, I went away about a couple of months. While after the surgery, I went away, and when I was there, I ate and drank in Europe for 4 weeks, and I gained weight. I probably didn't gain weight. I felt like I gained weight, and I was bloated and sluggish, and I got really upset because I thought that I had ruined all my liposuction. Like I thought that was it. I was back on that spiral. Here we go again. And that was my light bulb moment. So that was the moment I went, oh my God, like there's nothing fixing this issue except my food and diet. I can do all the surgeries and I can take all the chemicals and I can do all that, but nothing is going to fix what's going on in my body except for the food I eat. And I think because of having that light bulb moment, it really helped me in the program. So I went into the program already with like, this is it. This is what I need all along. I wasn't like I had to do it for a couple of weeks and be like, oh, I can see now what's happening. I already kind of knew going into it. I have tried everything. I have tried every easy route available and none of them work. Now I'm ready to put in all the effort. Like I went in, when I contacted Val, I was like 100% ready. I was like, this is going to be hard. This is going to be challenging, but I'm ready for it. So I don't know that I had too many pullbacks because I already had that like wired up mindset going into it.
You'd hit that rock bottom probably. I think it takes a lot. Like you've got to hit that rock bottom and you're like, I just can't do this anymore. You mentioned, so how are you feeling now? Like with all your health, you mentioned your periods come back. What improvements?
Come back. My skin is clear. I have that clear skin. Like I just had breakouts constantly for years. And now if I get a spot, it's like, oh, what are you doing there? Like the difference in my skin, my energy. I used to take naps nearly every day. I don't need that anymore. I can, I get really good night's sleep. Like I go to bed, I fall asleep, I stay asleep. I wake up when I need to get up. So my energy levels is completely different. I don't feel like I get peaks and troughs with my energy. I feel like it's really, really stable. I used to be so tired from doing cardio and stuff. I used to be like falling asleep at the wheel in the car and stuff. Like that sort of exhaustion. I can't, like looking back now, I can't even imagine feeling like that anymore. I feel like I've just turned such a corner in my life. Sex drive, digestion, sleep, everything just feels like it's fitting in right. And now looking back, I'm like, no surgery is going to ever fix that. No crazy diet is going to ever fix that. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm on a diet. So every time I'm doing something, it was like I was on a diet. I was in a period of time where I just got to do this and everything's going to, if I do this for 3 months, then everything's going to be okay. Whereas now I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like this is it. This is exactly where I need to be. This is my life now. This is the way I eat now. This is, the type of foods I know what to look for when I pick up a packet. That used to be quite daunting when I started the program. Can I have that? And then I'd just post on Slack and somebody would say, yeah, you can have that. Or usually, no, you can't. That's crap. Get away from it. So I mean, I can't, I've maintained my weight unbelievably considering the amount of food I eat now. It's just unreal. When I started in the diet, when I started with WOW, I really struggled to eat everything. So, and I was still quite shy of sugar and dairy. I was still really careful. And then slowly I'm like, okay, this is working. This is good. I feel good. And I would eat more dairy, more sugar. And then I got to a stage where I was feeling a little dizzy, and I said it to Mel, and Mel increased my calories again. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't eat more food. I just can't. But now I'm even at the stage where I'm like, oh, I wish I had more macros, because you just adapt to it. And the whole way I've lost weight since I started in WOW, there's been 2 weeks where I've maintained, but I've lost weight most weeks. And I've gained everywhere muscly, not big gains, just a little bit toned. But my weight in the is I feel never hungry, never restricted. The thing I crave, went through a stage of craving, was salt. I was really craving salt. So then I went back to all the fresh documents I received and went back to the website, and I wasn't putting enough salt in. And once I changed that, no cravings for anything.
Crazy,
I cannot, to anybody thinking of doing this, it's unbelievable. I know I've been at that side of it where I've been listening on podcasts to other people's stories and hemming and hamming and trying to get my head around eating dairy and sugar is actually, I'm going to be able to maintain this weight. And after you have invest all your money into something like surgery, it's very scary to think that you might go on a track that's going to make you gain weight or lose your results or put all that to waste. And I've done the exact opposite. I've found a way that I can maintain my results while being happy and not restrictive. I feel unreal. I can't thank you and Craig and the whole WOW community enough. It's an unbelievable feeling to not panic when I gain a little bit of weight, not kill myself with guilt if I don't go to the gym 6 days a week. That's a whole new feeling for me. Even if I only train 2 weeks because I'm tired or, not feeling it. Before I would have nearly cried with guilt. I would have felt so shit, and I would have gave myself hell for that entire day for not going to the gym. Now I'm like, okay, well, I'll do it tomorrow.
Amazing. Oh, it just makes me so happy when women say this to me. It really, because I know what it's like. It's so freeing, and this is why I just love what we do so much. And I think, Caroline, probably just to finish off, because you've just shared so much good stuff. I really hope that there'll be women who listen to this that will be open-minded and know that they can be free and not have to do all these crazy diets forever. If a woman was listening to this and, she was stuck back in that cycle that you were in, and she was thinking about getting surgery or doing something drastic like that, what would you say to her? What advice would you give her? If you could go back and give your previous old self some advice.
Yeah. So for me, lipo was definitely a step to reaching my goals, but it was not the answer. If I went back to eating like I did before, I'm just going to end up back in the same situation. Liposuction doesn't fix your mood, your digestion, your hormones, or sex drive. It's a very painful and expensive procedure that perhaps if I had found WOW sooner, I would never have went through with. I don't regret having a liposuction because it actually gave me that light bulb moment in Switzerland when I realized that there is no miracle. And because of that light bulb moment, I feel like I'm in a really good mindset to do some hard work Like WAL is hard work, but it's lots of food prep and it's having a really good mindset. But you've got the to do it. Like we're really lucky to have a group like WAL, and most women in here have had that light bulb moment at some point. So if somebody's feeling like they need to go get surgery, they probably haven't had that light bulb moment yet. So just give it a go. Just before you make that big step into making those adjustments to your body, because it's quite a big thing to go through. You don't think it, because when you contact the surgeons and look it up, they make it sound like it's going to be, a day or two of pain and then you'll be skinny, and that's not it at all. It's 6 months of recovery. Just try food first. Just listen to what Keating and Craig are telling you and just give it a go. We all need to kick up the ass every now and again, and this is definitely the right group to get it. If you try this group and you still feel you need liposuction, then you've really tried everything you can. But I can guarantee you, if you try this group, you're not going to probably go down the route of surgery, because you'll finally realize how important it is to keep your body healthy. And once you're healthy, then your body will start thanking you by giving you the results you want.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Like, I just, hope the woman is listening to this and, it can help free her, at least set her on the path to eating more and not being so afraid of sugar and dairy.
Yeah, it's so delicious. Like, I'm so happy. Every day I'm eating my homemade ice cream and my homemade brownie. I just, like, every day I'm eating, I'm like, I'm so grateful.
Oh, I know.
Happy right now.
Me too. I think that I made some more ice cream last night and I put dried figs in it and I was eating it just thinking, I fucking love ice cream. Like, I'm happy now that I can eat food and not be so scared that I'm going to, like, stack on the weight. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's the guilt. It's when I ate anything before, I would have so much guilt afterwards. And even now, if I do eat something that's not perfect, I don't sit around feeling guilty about it. I'm like, all right, damn it, that was stupid, move on. And I make a confession in my weekly checkup. So that Mel or somebody can, like, tell me to pull my head in. But, I don't ponder over things. I don't make myself feel like, like you're the worst person in the world because you ate that really nasty thing, or you didn't go to training today. That's a whole new mindset for me. I definitely like myself more.
Oh, I totally. Well, life is just better with ice cream in it. I mean, come on. Like,
I can't believe I gave it up in the first place. So,
it's crazy. After I get off this, I'm going to go have a nice milky coffee with NuGel and fudge. And then I'm going to make some fucking easy food prep videos with Mel. We're making baked cheesecake today. I found this good cream cheese in Aldi that's got no crap in it, which is good. So I'm going to make it with rice flour and macadamia nut base. So I'm pretty pumped about. I love a good cheesecake. So it's going to be, watch out for that.
That sounds absolutely delicious.
And now you'll be able to have a piece without feeling guilty. And
I know. It's a whole new life.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So I just hope that more and more women catch on. I mean, I have friends who tell me all the time about I have vegan friends. I have friends who do the intermittent fasting. And when it's like when I tell them about this diet, they think I'm absolutely nuts. And then I meet up with them a couple of weeks later and they're like, you still eating ice cream every day? And I'm like, every day. How's your intermittent fasting going?
Terrible.
But they haven't had their light bulb moment yet. They're not ready for the world.
Of course. And, like, I've learnt that too. Because people have got to be ready. You can't, you got to hit the rock bottom, I reckon, and then that's when you're like, okay, I'm like me, like I was bloody working on mine site, eating till I felt sick and then going back to my room and throwing up and thinking, okay, this isn't good. Like, you've got a problem here. Like, it's not working anymore.
Can you imagine if I had have listened back when I worked with that girl that used to be in the program? If I had listened 5-6 years ago, where I would be today. I had have taken that on board, like where I'd been today. So I'm here now, and in 4 or 5 years time, I'm going to be where I should
well, you know what though, hopefully you sharing your story will help a woman get there quicker and not have to go through any more years of suffering and hating themselves and restricting and
And another thing as well, we mentioned earlier about the cost of doing the program. And yes, of course, it's on your mind when you're signing up to something. But I have to say, not once since I joined the program have I looked at my bank account and thought, oh, is that really worth that? Not once. It's like it's not even like in my mind that that's gone out, because I feel like I'm getting so much from the program. I don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't be paying that or anything like that. So like people who are worried about that, I promise you, once you sign up and you start getting all the materials and seeing, all the wealth of knowledge that's been shared with you, you won't feel like it's an expensive program at all.
Mm. Oh, awesome. Oh, I'm so happy. It makes me happy.
Yes.
Happy and eating.
Thank you for having me. It's been really cool to have a chat to you. I've been looking at your face for years.
No, it's so good. I just love, like, thank you for coming into the program and doing the work. I love it. It does take work, but it is so rewarding. Like, it's just, the most rewarding and freeing, I think, process that you can go through.
Yeah. It's you cannot describe the feeling of freedom until you're actually you're there, like until you're doing it. I'm still, as I said, confessed earlier, I'm still got a lot of work to do in my training. And definitely COVID has set me back to my 2 kg and my 5 kg weights. But the gyms are opening back soon, so I'll be back on track. But I definitely feel like I'm nailing it with my food, and that's a really good feeling.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you
so much. Thank you. Thanks for coming on. And yeah, ladies, like, just listen to Caroline, take on board what she said. And I know it's scary. It can be scary to make these changes because it's different to anything you've ever done. And it goes against everything the fitness industry has ever told you. But, like, don't waste another minute. Don't waste another minute killing yourself with cardio and doing all these dumb diets. Don't get surgery. You just
don't do it.
You just don't need to. You can just eat real food, and like, just go all in. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So thanks again so much
for having me.
I appreciate you coming on, and I'll chat to you in the program.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay.
Kitty.
Bye.
See you. Take care. Bye.